Welcome to everyone. We're thrilled that you're here. Myrna's going to kick us off tonight.
Yes, thank you, Dean Chval. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the UIC College of Education Dean's Forum. My name is Myrna Teresa Holton, and I'm consistently inspired by UIC education and sincerely grateful for my role as Director of Development. So tonight, I will share with you a few housekeeping items before we get started. All participants are muted. Please keep your cameras on. We love your faces if you are comfortable during this interactive session. And if you have questions throughout, please put them in the chat box. We'll try to get it to as many as possible. And we'll be monitoring that throughout our time together. You will receive the recording after our event tonight, and it will also be available on the College of Education's website. Finally, we'll email you a brief survey a couple of days after our presentation, and we encourage you to let us know your thoughts. Now, please allow me to introduce the Dean of the College of Education, Dr. Kathryn Chval.
Thank you, Myrna. Appreciate that. Well, excited to be here tonight and so grateful for all of you for joining. This is our third Dean's Forum. We do it once a semester. And we're just thrilled that you'd invest time and an evening to come and learn more about the work that we're doing here and the impact that we're having. We have some terrific guests tonight who are going to share their work associated with engagement. So thanks for playing. Over the past I would say about 18 months, the faculty, staff, and the administrators in the college did a hard look at the past as an institution and our present, and also we're dreaming about the future of the College of Education. And so through that process, we identified our mission as we transform education to advance justice and liberation. We have a vision where there's a world where education fosters human flourishing, and our values of hope, engagement, and justice. And so our fall Dean's Forum focused on hope, and tonight we'll focus on engagement, and then in the fall semester, we'll focus on justice. This was especially important, I would say, because since 2021, we've hired 41 new employees, and that's a 25% increase in the full-time employees in the College of Education. So really important for them to be part of building, where we want to go. And it was fantastic to engage in those conversations. So we believe that these words capture the essence of the college. They honor our past work, and they inspire future actions and decisions. And so tonight we will focus on engagement. And we're going to start with you. So in the chat, when you think of this word engagement, what does it mean to you? So it could be an adjective, it could be a noun, it could be a phrase, but write some words in the chat that describe engagement to you. Flow's a nice one. Connected, active involvement, collaboration, being involved. Oh, now they're coming in too fast. Service, connection and reciprocity. Nice. Community. Positive exchange. Meaningful relationships. Being involved, aware of the world around you. Interaction of beliefs, desires, and actions. Connected to your studies and to your education path forward. Wanting to respond. Hi, Bill. Purpose, creativity. These are great. Effective communication. All right, so I populated a few on the next slide. You're going to notice that some of those came out. There's learning opportunity from Donna. Some words that come to mind: meaningful, active, emotional, reciprocal, getting at that reciprocity issue that her theme that Aisha brought up. Collective, sustainable, transformational, collaborative, beneficial, authentic, that's a good one. Connection, contribution, participation, pledge. So are we pledging to whoever we're engaging with? Experience, passion, energy, commitment, partnership. So I feel these words in our college on a daily basis, and our engagement takes place on a number of levels. And so tonight we'll see some examples in the college itself with our students, our faculty and staff. But we really felt that that these capture what's happening here. And then when we think about community engagement, so a lot of our work in the college is out in communities, and the college has a strong history of community engagement. We'd like to share some of the examples of that work tonight. And as you learn more about the work, you're going to notice what's on the screen here. We work alongside community members. We acknowledge their wisdom. We understand the local context, or we seek to understand it. We recognize the complexity of the work. We build relationships, we develop trust, and we have to be open. So I know that you'll notice those themes as we engage more today. So tonight we're going to start with Dr. Emily Gregori, who's an assistant professor in the Department of Special Education. She's a board-certified behavior analyst, and she's director of the Clinic for Assessment and Responsive Educational Support, or what we refer to as UIC CARES. So welcome to Emily.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're thrilled that you're here. And so this is a discussion with Emily tonight, and we hope that, as we engage with Emily, that you'll put questions in the chat, or we'll have a time at the end after she speaks where you can also engage with her for questions. So Emily, can you start with sharing a little bit about the past, present, and your future dreams for UIC CARES?
Sure. So CARES, which was formerly the UIC Educational Assessment Clinic, has been part of our Department of Special Education for over 30 years. But over the last few years, our department has really grown. And so to reflect the growth in personnel and expertise, the clinic has grown too. So in the fall of 2023, we expanded to CARES, or the Clinic for Assessment and Responsive Educational Supports. And the mission of CARES is to provide academic, behavioral health, and professional development support for individuals with and at risk for disabilities across the lifespan. So our goal is really to improve the quality of life for individuals with disabilities and their caregivers. And we're a really unique clinic because we're one of the few in the area that really take this lifespan perspective. So we provide supports from early childhood all the way through older adulthood. And we provide 3 primary services. We provide academic assessment so that school-age children in the Chicagoland area can get access to special education services at their local school. We also provide academic and behavioral health intervention for individuals with disabilities via our telehealth programming. And then we also provide professional development for caregivers and advocates, parents, teachers. And so across all of those activities, we're conducting cutting-edge research to ensure that we're providing the highest quality services for the children and families that we serve. And we've really seen the impact of CARES growing. Our wait list is up to 170 individuals, which I think really illustrates the need for these services in the community, and also shows the amount of trust that the community has instilled in us to provide.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, it's not great that we have a wait list of 170, but the work that you're doing is amazing. We'll talk about that wait list again in a minute here. So can you give some examples that illustrate the impact of CARES?
Sure. We have so many examples, but I'll share a recent story. So as I mentioned, one of our services is providing educational assessments that allow students to get special ed services, which are so critical in really changing their educational trajectories and helping them thrive in school. So recently we had a 19-year-old, a senior in high school, who was referred to CARES for an educational assessment. And she reported, and her family reported, that she had been struggling in school since kindergarten and had been referred and denied special education services many times. So we were able to complete her educational evaluation and share that report with the school, who accepted our report and is now providing her with the special ed services that she needs just in time before she graduates high school. So they're going to help her catch up academically and prepare for that next chapter of her life.
So Emily, I have to ask, kindergarten to age 19, how does that happen? How, that's got to be frustrating for the family.
It is. Unfortunately, it's more common than we would like it to be, but that's why these services are so critical, because they really help fill in those gaps that develop over time.
Thank you for impacting that. That's a great story. So I know you work hard to acquire resources for CARES. Can you give us an example of a grant that's had a positive impact on CARES?
Sure. Well, we've been really fortunate to secure funding at the state and federal levels, and we're thrilled because recently we received a grant from the federal grant from the Administration for Community Living, where we're going to be able to develop a telehealth parent training program for parents of adolescents with autism. And so the program is going to focus on teaching parents those critical skills they need to be able to support their teens and young adults. And this is really critical work because we know that adolescents and young adults with autism often go without the services that they really need. So we're very excited to be able to fill in this gap in the community.
Yeah, that's great. So how many years will that funding be?
That'll be a 3-year project starting this year.
I know you invest a lot of your personal time to write these proposals to bring in resources. So much appreciated, because it's really helping so many people when you can bring those dollars in. So, well, we're going to get back to that telehealth coming up here in a minute, but how are you involving College of Education students in UIC CARES?
Yeah, the students are really critical to the work that we do at CARES, and we're involving students at every level, particularly our master's and doctoral students. So our master students are studying to be special education teachers, and so every year they do an internship through CARES where they learn to administer educational assessments. And so this really prepares them for the work that they're going to be doing in the classroom. And our doctoral students are so talented, and they really help us out with doing those educational evaluations for kiddos all over the city. And they can also do a research internship through CARES. So that's one of the most exciting things to see, is that next generation of special education researchers doing their work through CARES and making an impact in the city.
Yeah, it's great to go down. The other day I was down there and I saw a bunch of them working in the clinic, and it's great to see. They're really a great team. So.
They are.
You're working with Legal Aid Chicago and Tutoring Chicago. That you've shared with me. How are you identifying partners, and how can other partners get involved with you?
Yeah, we're actively seeking partners. That really helps us fulfill the mission of CARES. And we also really want to establish these bi-directional partnerships. So our partners can be supporting us, and we can support our partners in achieving the missions of their organizations. So with our local partners, we deliver professional development, advocacy, and we also set up referral systems so that families from underserved areas in Chicago can get access to CARES. So we're actively seeking new partners and really open to working with folks to develop new collaborations that can benefit CARES, and so we can really see that impact in the city.
Oh, that's great. Cool. How are people, so you mentioned this wait list, and I think you said it was 170?
Yes.
And I think when I asked you a few months ago, it was 100.
Yes.
So you must be advertising in the Chicago Tribune or something. So how is the word getting out, and how are you marketing CARES?
That's a great question. And we're really not doing a ton of marketing. A lot of our wait list is partially through referral systems that we set up with community partners. So we work with specific organizations, but a lot of folks come to us through word of mouth. And I think that just demonstrates the impact that the clinic has had over the last 30 years. That I actually had a parent call me a few weeks ago and said, I had my son evaluated 10, 15 years ago, and now I'd like to refer my friend's grandson. So the fact that their experience was so powerful that all these years later, they're coming back and spreading the word is really powerful.
That's great. Well, it kind of scares me that if we did actually promote this in any way, what your wait list would be. So I have to say that. I do hope we can generate more resources so the wait list does not continue to increase the way it has been. So you mentioned telehealth, and I know you've put together a short video because maybe some people haven't experienced telehealth yet, and we couldn't use obviously your clients. We wouldn't want to put that. So I know you've kind of created with one of the students. Is it one of the?
Yes,
so can you set up that video and kind of show folks what that looks like?
Yeah, so yes, one of our very kind doctoral students volunteered to make this video with me just to show you about 30 seconds of what an academic telehealth tutoring session looks like. So we use the Zoom web conferencing software, so we're using technology that's readily available for most people. After the pandemic, most people have access to Zoom. So it looks like a typical Zoom meeting where we can share a screen, share really high quality literature and resources with kiddos. So what you're going to see is about 30 seconds of what the beginning of a telehealth tutoring session looks like.
Okay, thanks.
Good morning, Betania.
Good morning.
Today we're going to continue reading our book about the amazing Amazon. Do you remember what the Amazon is?
The rainforest?
Correct. The Amazon is a rainforest. And we're reading about the Amazon rainforest because you're learning about that in school. And it's important to learn about our environment and how we preserve it. Are you ready to get started?
Yes.
Great.
Okay, so Emily, obviously it's Zoom.
Morning.
It's Zoom. It's the two. You're interacting with the client. So how often are you doing this? And give us a sense of how much time this takes, and how long do you work with one of your clients?
Sure. So the sessions are about 30 minutes, and we see our clients over an extended period of time. So we've actually had some kiddos with us for over a year at this point in these services, and we're working with families 4 to 5 nights a week, and we see 3 to 5 students per night. So, and we're doing this after school when we can be accessible to the families. So our students are working really hard and investing a lot of time to make sure that students all across the Chicagoland area are getting these really high quality educational supports.
And how much are the families paying you for that?
They are not paying us.
You're not paying.
All of our services are offered at low or no cost. Because we've been so fortunate to get so many grants, we're able to provide these services through those grants. Otherwise, these services would be quite costly for families and inaccessible to so many people.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, can you dream with me for a minute here? What would you? You've been at UIC how long?
This is my 5th year.
Your 5th year, and a big chunk of that was COVID.
Yes.
Yeah. So, if you could build something at UIC, what would it be?
Yeah.
Off the cuff here. Didn't throw this question at you earlier in a practice session. So.
Yeah. Well, because our wait list is growing, we are quickly outgrowing our physical space here on campus. And so I keep saying we don't need a mansion, just an expansion to be able to serve more clients in person, and also to have space where we can really become a telehealth hub on campus, a place to set up all of our equipment and resources. So I think a new space where we can provide on the ground support, a place for families to come, get resources, connect with each other, is our dream and what we're hoping to work towards over the next few.
Oh, that's great, and I do hope we can accomplish that. I know at one point you and I went and toured a space on campus, and you were really looking at the bathrooms, and you were thinking about training of young children with bathrooms and just how the layout of that. So it can't just be any space. It would have to be designed well for what you're trying to do. So I just in that interaction with you, how thoughtful you were in thinking about what's in the best interests of families. So we're excited you're here. We're thrilled, to work with you. Your commitment, your care, your compassion come out every day in the work that you do, and that you devote so many of your evenings to families and weekends too. I know I've seen you here in the building on weekends working with clients, so it just shows your dedication. And I just want to thank you for that. I would like to open it up to the audience to just see if there's any questions. Either you can put your unmute or you can put something in the chat, but anything you'd like to ask Emily? Or comment on anything she shared?
Emily, can you tell me what age group do you target? Do CARES target?
That's a great question. So we serve individuals across the lifespan. So we have folks in the department who are doing work through CARES with children as young as 3 years old, all the way through older adulthood. So we are really working across the lifespan, but I would say that most of the individuals we serve are school age or just past that high school transition period.
There's a question in the chat, a comment by Samus. This work is so incredible. How can community members support the work you do? Is expansion possible with community engagement? And thank you, Shelley. It is a wonderful service. I agree. Caregivers do need this support. So
Well, we welcome new partnerships. We've already seen how much we can do through these partnerships. That's a big reason why our waitlist has grown so much through these partnerships. And so we welcome new collaborations and putting our heads together with folks in the community to think about, how can we expand in ways that are going to be accessible to families. So, of course, I'm always available via email or phone to talk about those collaborations, but we really welcome you.
I think Diana, do you have a question?
Yes, I kind of have a question around it because I get the innovation behind the approach of assessments via telehealth and then the guided level reading instruction. But one of the things we're encountering, at least as in-person special education teachers and practitioners, is as our schools approach being innovative in the same manner, like assessments through telehealth or psychology. One thing that isn't captured is the possibly reading behaviors or how a child addresses opening a book or reading from left to right, or even the heritage language considerations of reading right to left. Those things are kind of, I'm wondering how your clinic addresses it, because I could see the need by advocacy and assessment because we understand the wait list. But when it comes down to the in-person instruction, that's where some of our the nuances of what you're doing kind of come to play.
Right. That's a great question. And I think illustrates really why the research piece of this is so important because we're conducting research that is while we're working with these students and families on what are the best approaches to providing reading support via telehealth. What are the evidence-based practices? What are the best practices? And so I think that's why that piece is so critical because we're still learning. And new guidelines are coming out, and we really want to be at the forefront of the folks doing that work.
Emily, when you do the assessments, are those in person?
Great question. They're typically in person, but we actually have served families in other states as well, Texas, South Dakota, who heard about CARES through friends in the Chicagoland area. So we have done assessments via telehealth, but most of our assessment services are still done in person.
Okay. And then I think going again back to Diana's question, is everything via telehealth, or are you doing some of the learning supports actually in person?
Great question. So this summer we'll be launching some in-person services as well. Right now, all of those academic supports are via telehealth.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question from one of our audience members here, and that is about the families and the people who are in the wait list. What can they access as they're waiting? Do you know?
Yeah, that's a great question. Over the summer, we piloted a parent training program that we did all via telehealth for families on the wait list and beyond. It was a 4-week workshop on how to support your children during homework time, which is a challenge for so many parents, particularly during COVID with online learning. And so we'll be doing that again this summer, another 4-week workshop. And we got some great feedback from parents that they were interested in. So we're trying to do workshops so we can at least get parents, one foot in the door and get them some supports and resources.
Well, Emily, I just want to thank you. It's amazing work, and we're looking for ways to expand it and what you're describing. I think even going back to Shelley's comment, more supports that caregivers need. And we're going to next hear from the Center for Literacy. And so I think there's a natural connection here even with the Center for Literacy, and we're going to hear more about their work. And so I do think that, the clinic and the center should be thinking about future partnerships too. So now I'm going to, so thank you. We'll come back. Any other questions, put them in the chat. We'll come back to Emily, but appreciate all your insights and your time tonight. And next we're going to turn to Dr. Andrea Vaughan. I'd like to introduce her. She is a visiting research assistant professor in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction. She's the interim director of the Center for Literacy, and she's also a researcher and organizational leader and an educator devoted to deepening learners' experiences in and out of school context. So welcome, Andrea. Grateful that you're
Hi,
here.
it's so great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for playing. And you're doing this, I know, while you're on a vacation with your family. So I hope your children were okay with you escaping from them for a little bit. So thanks for making time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, we're going to start with, please share a little bit about the past, present, and future for the Center for Literacy.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, let me just tell you a little bit about who the Center for Literacy is. At the center, we want to see Chicago communities thrive, and we believe that in order for communities to thrive, parents need to thrive. And when parents have what they need to succeed, then children are supported as well. So we've been around for more than 30 years. The center started in a library setting in 1989 when a parent, Shelley Maxwell, who is here with us tonight, noticed that other parents needed literacy support. It was mostly volunteer tutoring for about a year, supported by other parents in the neighborhood with strong literacy skills. But it really all stemmed from community. And around 1996, the program caught the attention of UIC. And the city then partnered with UIC to bring these volunteer tutoring services to UIC and to connect them to the researchers who are here, including folks like Bill Teal, Tim Shanahan, Maureen Meehan. I was speaking to Shelley recently just about the history of the center and learning about her experiences in starting it up. And she told me that the strength of the program really took off when the university brought that research-based perspective. And that's how the center began to expand beyond a tutoring program and grew to empower parents to really be their child's first teachers, bringing that asset-based perspective. And the center was able to get additional money from the city to support parents through things like GED, high school equivalency, ESL supports. For many years, the center provided those kinds of resources and other parent and family-focused programming. We built a strong curriculum of programming related to parent education, family engagement, and community empowerment. We've always, as an organization, really married that community perspective with the research-based perspective from the university. And we know, right, that UIC can be intimidating to neighboring communities and communities that are often far away from us. The center really makes UIC accessible and relatable. We are one of the primary ways that UIC shows up in Chicago neighborhoods every day, brings people together. Now in the current day, we carry forth that legacy of parent empowerment and community engagement paired with research-based practices. So we provide programming kind of in 3 strands, all focused on empowering families. The first is our services for parents. So we offer a variety of forms of engagement with parents, including workshops, trainings, internships, and classes, all on topics such as financial literacy, career readiness and employment skills, family literacy and reading skills, and parenting and fatherhood support through our 24/7 Dads program. The second strand of our work is with providers through our professional development and family engagement program. We support early childhood educators, family support workers, case managers, really those folks who work with families and children to improve their professional skills and get support for things like well-being and burnout, and to provide culturally and linguistically responsive services to families. So this is really vital work to strengthen the workforce of providers at early childhood education sites who work directly with kids and families. And then finally, our Resource Center for Autism and Developmental Delays spans both our parent and family-facing work as well as our provider-facing work. So we work very closely through the city of Chicago with Head Start and early Head Start sites. So those are federally funded, subsidized early childhood education centers. So we work with those providers, but also at Chicago Public Schools and other venues supported by our funder, the Autism Project of Illinois, to support students with autism and other developmental delays. So we work with parents and families to design and implement resources to support those children directly. And every year we serve more than 5,000 individuals across these programs. And we really see our work as reverberating beyond those individuals to connect to their families, their schools, and communities. We primarily serve families on the south and west sides of Chicago, but through our hybrid and virtual services, our reach has really broadened over the past few years. And one thing that we're really very proud of is the fact that the majority of our staff started out as participants in our programs. And we see that as really a testament of our impact. Our ability to empower parents to reach their own goals and gain employment and move towards the experiences that they want to have, as well as the fact that our programs are run by folks who have been through those experiences themselves as young parents. They understand where participants have been because they were once there themselves. And when I look to the future, the center really has been through a lot in the past few years. Like many other organizations, we've had shifts in funding and departure of key personnel and transition through the COVID-19 pandemic, as just so many of us did. But we still continue to imagine that future where all Chicago families have what they need to succeed and thrive, and we see ourselves as playing a key role in that future. One thing that's in the immediate future for us is that for the first time, all of our staff are under one roof on UIC's West Campus. For many years, we've had office space on West Campus, but officially as of next month, when our Resource Center for Autism and Developmental Delays opens its doors to begin serving families in that space, we're really going to be a hub on West Campus with branches extending outward to engage the communities that we've always served, which we hope will deepen our collaboration and impact for years to come.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. And Shelley is in the house. I hope you heard your legacy in her remarks tonight. So thank you for that vision so many years ago. And I have to say, whenever I go over to the Center for Literacy and talk with the folks that are associated with it, I say they're the best kept secret at UIC, and we want to change that because you're doing amazing work in Chicago communities. So Andrea, you described this incredible array of, services that you provide. Who accesses these services? Can you talk a little bit about the people you serve?
Yes, for sure. So through our city-funded programs, we serve parents of Head Start and early Head Start students and the providers who work with those families. So this is largely young parents, new parents, parents of kids ages 0 to 5, and primarily low-income families. As I mentioned, we also serve providers. So that's folks who work with, who provide early childhood education or family support services to those families. A big piece of our work is that professional development and working with educators, social workers, and education providers. We also work primarily on the south and west sides of the city. So for many years, we had in neighborhood locations on the south side at the King Center, as well as on the west side at 10 South Kedzie. We have had to exit those locations and, as I mentioned, relocate to West Campus. However, we still continue to go out to those neighborhoods to provide in-person services at sites. One way in which we've done that is we've partnered with UIC's neighborhood centers in Auburn, Gresham, and North Lawndale. They've been a strong supporter of our employment readiness training program, where we provide stipends to individuals who are gaining employment skills and then, going through internships. So the neighborhood centers has really been a key partner with us over the past year, and that work continues into the future as well. But our vision is really to support the south and west sides in a variety of the formats that I've mentioned. So that Chicagoans, specifically Black and Brown Chicagoans, families and communities can live out their best lives. That's the legacy of our work, and that's what we hope to continue.
Yeah, great, thank you. So how are you involving College of Education students in your work?
Yeah, so actually I myself came to the Center for Literacy as a College of Education student. I started my work with the center in 2017 as a doctoral research assistant, working on an evaluation of the Head Start, Early Head Start Child Care Partnership Program. College of Education students have always been deeply embedded in the work of the center. We fund graduate assistants every semester. Those are College of Education students who work in our programs, they work on research and our administrative responsibilities. We're really proud of our connection to the college and of our ability to both support students in their academic journeys as well as to learn from them, because many of our students really bring new perspectives to our programming, and we really value learning from them as well.
Yeah, that's great. I know that meeting with the graduate students that have been served as community engagement fellows, and that was one of the reasons they came to UIC. They want a career really in community engagement, and that connection, with your center has been transformational for them and potentially their future careers. So thanks for all you're doing to invest in our students. I know that Donna Hampton is also in the house. So Donna has worked, she's currently a program manager with the Center for Literacy, and she's worked at the center for 17 years. So Donna, thanks for spending some time with us. Can you share a little bit about your history with the Center for Literacy?
Sure. Thanks for having me. So I came to the center in March of 2006 from a Head Start program, looking for an opportunity to gain employable skills. After coming from a background of retail, grocery stores and things, I wanted more of a career. I wanted something more meaningful, and picked up a flyer at my grandchildren's Head Start Center, called the number, and was invited to an info session. I didn't know once I got to the info session to how much Center for Literacy had to offer. I just thought that it was going to be another training program that I would go through. But once me getting into the program, what I really, really love about this unique program is, one, that it offers a holistic approach for engaging families. So that was one thing. And then it offered me the opportunities to connect to my peers, to get the extra support that I needed. From there, I have been in advanced leadership positions, which led me to the position that I have now. But most of all, what's the beauty in it all is the trainings that I received at Center for Literacy. I was able to train other parents that had the same passion and drive and was looking for opportunity. So that is very near and dear to my heart, that I'm able to give back in that way. Again, Andrea mentioned that about 90% of our staff members are former participants. So being a participant and knowing what that looks like on the other side and trying to get to where I am has been amazing, with the support of not only the Center for Literacy staff, but also UIC staff and alumni as well, that, come back and contribute. We have grad students that come back to help us critique our materials that we use, making sure that we're using research-based materials, having the best and the updated most materials to present. But I would like to also say it's not just my story. It's the stories of many that have came after me, that calls us back, come back, have been very successful with completing the program and being able to move on and do successful things in life. So this is just, I know that this program makes an impact because it was a full circle for me and my family. I came in as a participant. My son came in as a teen participant, and now is a part of our male involvement team. My grandchildren came through the program as well as team literacy coaches, and they're doing well because of the trainings and the opportunities that they were given by going through Center for Literacy.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've talked about the kind of the transformation for your own family. Can you share us? I mean, I know you've interacted over 17 years with a lot of people. So is there a favorite story you have about someone that you've interacted with?
Yes, there are so many. But one that does stick out is an individual that came into our program, and I like to say that she was a diamond in the rough, meaning that when she came to the program, she came in as a GED student to be a part of our GED program. And once she completed the GED, she got that in like 2 months. She transitioned into our AmeriCorps program where she were able to successfully complete that. And through the AmeriCorps program, she was able to support our other programs like PYO. So she was trained to do workshops. And at first, her confidence wasn't there, but slowly you could see her confidence build. You could see the thrive and the drive that she had. She always had in the back of her mind that she wanted to go into the medical field to become a nurse. But just seeing that transformation in her, and then her completing the AmeriCorps program and took that funding that she received, her education award, to go back to school for nursing and to receive her RN license, and now is currently working in the medical field. It just does my heart well. I am still in connection with that individual. She always talk about, if it wasn't for such a program as what we have, she don't know if she would have made that extra step.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, the fact that, you're still in contact with these people after so many years shows, again, your commitment, your care, your connection to people. All those words that we described earlier on the screen, you're just, role model for that. So thank you so much. I mean, it's a great
Yes.
deal. So I'm going to combine our last two questions for you, Donna. So either why should people invest in CFL, or dream about what you would like to build at CFL to support the city of Chicago?
I would like to touch on both of those.
Okay.
Why someone should fund. Again, we had a staff of about 80 people. We're down to like about 30 people, but even with the smaller staff, we're able to make such a huge impact throughout communities and families. So if we were able to, if I can just kind of hindsight see where we were, and so if we can bring some of the programs back that we once had, like our GED program, I know that that's a really successful program and sets people up for success. If we can bring back our team programs, we know, because Andrea touched on it, and that's my philosophy too. If you build the parent, you build the child, you build a better community. So we're able to provide those holistic engagement, family engagement programs, and be able to have those wraparound services per se that we once used to offer. And so if I had to build out, I would like to build out being able to bring those programs back, to be able to service a wide net of the communities.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a shame that funding was cut. So it's just, I know, a knife in the heart for some of you. So, and you had such an impact. So that is a dream and a hope for the future.
Yes.
Well, again, I want to thank you for your time tonight and sharing your stories. And, I hope that everyone really, those words we used earlier to describe compassion and engagement, compassion and care. Sandra, maybe put those up. Care, catalyst, creativity, compassion, consistency, commitment, collaborations, and communication. So I hope that through the descriptions of the Center for Literacy and the UIC Cares Clinic that you're noticing these patterns, because I get the opportunity to work with them closely, and this is what I see every day with their work. So I'm going to now turn to just a few other highlights from the college associated with engagement. So you kind of saw tonight through these examples things that are happening out in the Chicago community. Another example is workshops with parents with Dr. Lali Morales. So here you see some photos of her work in Little Village, South Chicago, Belmont Cragen, and a bilingual parent conference. That's Lolly there in the photo of the bilingual parent conference. So she led 10 workshops in 8 neighborhoods and supported 181 parents and guardians to learn about different language education options available to their children in Chicago. Support their navigation of the CPS application to apply for a dual language program. And then if their schools or communities did not have a dual language program, how they could advocate for those programs in their communities. And then she led the inaugural UIC Dual Language Bilingual Education Parent Summit in 2023. There you see a picture there. So in addition to work with parents, we also have experiences for children. And here I'd like to do a shout out. I hope Luann Smallin is still here, who invested in, I would say, the only one of our only innovative spaces in the College of Education, the Make Good Lab. It's a maker space, and it's been a fantastic space to host community members, not only our students, but also children. So here you see 2 images. One, the Nature Art Camp, hosted through the college's Make Good Lab, and then a community event that was in the space itself. We do a summer camp, a STEM summer camp every summer in our Education Technology Lab. That it sells out, when I say sell out, registration closes in a day. So families in Chicago, that's another one we don't have to actually market. People want to send their kids to that every summer. Here you see in a local park teaching children about science and creativity. And then in the right-hand side, out of our curriculum and instruction department, they're centering Black Lives Thought and Liberation work, and they do a Black Youth Right. This will be the 3rd summer in 24 for Black girls, and it's been an amazing program for those participants. So you see these engagement with parents, you see engagement, these experiences that we do with children. Another example I want to provide is also in our academic programs and our curriculum for UIC students. And so here we have the work of Daniel Morales-Doyle and Dr. Caleb Germanero in our Department of Curriculum and Instruction. They're leading a revision of their Master's in Science Education with a long-term goal is to build networks of community-based science educators that extend across school and out of school boundaries with a focus on environmental justice. So we have several faculty in the college that are really passionate about environmental justice and that work in the communities. And then 4th category would be resources. So here you see Dr. Kathy Sheridan's work from educational psychology, and Kathy and her team developed 3 websites with resources in early childhood. And that was from the funding from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange Foundation, CME. And their websites have now had an incredible reach in a very small amount of time with for 500,000 visits that provide resources for parents and educators. So for example, the Ready Child is the last one they've developed, and there is your child ready to enter kindergarten? And so what do parents need to know about that? And also early child educators. So that's some examples of other types of engagement that are happening across the college. We could spend hours on this. These are just a few quick examples. I would recommend that you check out that this year the Chancellor started a new series called Spark Talks, and it was a competitive process, and 5 College of Education faculty were selected to present. They each had a total of 3 minutes to share their work, and these were highly engaging sessions, and the videos are online at the Chancellor's site there. So check those out and see how other faculty are doing engagement work. I have to say they really are inspirational stories and effective way to think about community engagement. And then also our faculty write books. And so we have 4 highlighted here as examples. And so we have Dion Dan's book, Crossing Segregated Boundaries, Remembering Chicago School Desegregation. We have a book from Rebecca Woodard and Christine Schutz, Teaching Climate Change to Children. And Federico Weitoler, Excluded by Choice, Urban Students with Disabilities in the Education Marketplace. And the last one by Daniel Morales-Doyle, Transformative Science Teaching, a Catalyst for Justice and Sustainability. So lots of ways that their work is being disseminated, and books are another option. So I'd like to open it up. We have a few minutes left to see if there's any comments or questions, and you can unmute yourself, or you can put it in the chat. Marina will be She's going to get us started here.
Yes, thank you so much, Dean Chval, Dr. Gregori, and Dr. Vaughan. So we have a few minutes for conversation. And first, I want to acknowledge the love, the unbridled enthusiasm, your curiosities and suggestions. Love the map idea. So thank you all for that, because your energy helps to inspire and feed us as we continue to move forward. There are a few questions that I'd like to pose to the group that have come up that are unanswered. So one, does the Center for Literacy offer reading support for school-age children? And if so, how can we connect families with these services?
Great question. So our work really focuses on parents and adults. So we see ourselves as supporting children by supporting their parents. So we don't offer instructional support or tutoring support for children around reading, but we do offer workshops for parents. So the parents will learn how to be their child's reading support at home. Ms. Donna, you could share some of those workshop titles that we offer around parent literacy support. Can you share some of those with us?
Sure. So we do have a workshop topic that we present, and that is book selection and book sharing, giving parents a focus on what's appropriate, age appropriate books to select for their children, steps and tips on how to share a book, because we know just reading a book to a child is different from sharing a book, you know, bringing them in close and asking questions and things like that. So that is one that's focused on reading, would be that book selection, book sharing piece.
Thank you. We have another question. Can undergraduates at UIC access the literacy services at the College for Education?
So if the question is specifically about Center for Literacy Services, our current, our primary funder is the City of Chicago, who funds us to support parents of Head Start and early Head Start kids. So if there are College of Education students who are parents of kids ages 0 to 5 in those programs, they definitely can access our services. So yeah, if that's who you are and you're eligible, then you will be eligible for Center for Literacy Services.
Thank you, Dr. Vaughan. And in a related question for the center, are there any grants on the horizon or other funding opportunities?
I saw that our college grant writer Tamara is with us, so I'm sure I can feel her smiling through through the Zoom here. We absolutely are seeking grant funding and are frequently applying to grants at the local, foundation, state, and federal levels to support our work. As you know, we mentioned before, we had some funding cuts that really limited our ability to continue providing programs at the scale that we have done for so many years. And these programs have a huge impact. So we want to get back up to full capacity to be able to continue offering these great services, but not just offering them, but expanding and deepening and widening that reach. So we are actively applying for grants, and we welcome anyone who wants to partner with us in this work. So if you are someone who wants to join with us in this effort, we are seeking folks to partner with us on this journey. So please do reach out if you'd like to get involved with us in any way.
Thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't put in my own plug as Director of Development and say thank you for those who support all of the good work at the College of Education. And we welcome your ideas and tips. And we welcome you letting us know who needs to hear about this good work and how can we be helpful in connecting with them, and how can you help us connect with them so we can properly resource the work.
Yeah, and I will add in, I saw Diana's comment about Goldie's book. So Goldie was one of the presenters last spring, our first Dean's Forum in spring of 23. So check out the video on the website. I don't know if somebody put that in the chat too. But that book should be, both of Goldie's books should be in everyone's libraries. So I think she's approaching 300,000 or 400,000 books sold from very quickly. So if they're not in your library, they should be for sure.
And another question for each of you actually is, would you please share a little bit about your journeys and what facilitated your passion? Why UIC? Why now?
Emily, you want to start?
Sure. Well, I'm from the Chicagoland area and always knew of UIC as an institution that was connected to the community. And I think the topic of engagement is something that really drew me to UIC, and the meaningful connections, how purposeful, particularly the College of Education is about being part of the community, interacting with communities in meaningful ways. And I think that aligns with the work we're doing for people with disabilities and really helping people, empowering them to live the lives that they want to live. So I think the college's commitment and the university's commitment to being engaged partners in the community was something that really drew me to come to UIC.
And Emily, what was kind of one of the things in your, I think it's trajectories and pathways. So you've obviously became passionate about special education at some point. Are there things that you can point to that directed you in that path?
Yeah, growing up, my neighbor and close friend had Down syndrome. And so I grew up just really mesmerized by how she learned and saw her potential and saw her reach her full potential. And she's continuing to live her best life to this day. And so watching her family advocate for her, getting her the best quality education, and that just really inspired me to do this work.
So does she know she's your inspiration?
I told her, so
Awesome.
hope so.
I'm sure that brought great joy to her. So, all right, Andrea, how about you?
Yeah, what a great question. I would say that my passion is to work on programs that see learners holistically. I've worked in nonprofit education in a few different capacities over the years, but nowhere else like the Center for Literacy really that I've worked at really sees individuals as connected to families, connected to communities. We serve folks who come to us for one thing, like employment support, and then they learn about our other services, like our fatherhood program or our resource center for autism and developmental delays. And so we're able to not just sort of meet one need, but to see folks as really, whole people and connected to the communities that they come from and the families that they're a part of. And what keeps me engaged in this work is the potential to make our values at the College of Education visible and tangible in neighborhoods throughout Chicago, and to see families and communities uplifted and empowered through engagement with others who have been where they are, who know those experiences. When you invited me to speak at this event, Dean Chval, I was, I immediately wanted to bring someone, from the center to speak to that work as well, which is, I could think of no one better than Miss Donna to come and share about that work. I know we have other folks in attendance today from the Center for Literacy. It's a tremendous privilege to lead this organization that has existed, since before I got here and is bigger than me and does this incredible work. And I feel incredibly privileged and humbled every day to get to work with such devoted folks who really see this work as their calling, and so that's what keeps me engaged.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank all those that joined us tonight. And when I say I have the best job in the world, I hope you have a better understanding of why I say that. I get to work with really inspirational people that just interact with people in work and in their personal lives, but they see every interaction as a possibility to inspire hope as they engage with them. And it's just an incredible team here in the College of Education. And we appreciate your support. We appreciate you spreading the word about the great work that's getting us connected with people that potentially want to invest in our incredible faculty and staff. So thank you for playing tonight. We appreciate it. Myrna, do you want to end us off here?
Yes, thank you all. We're at time. We want to be respectful of your time. And I will speak for our team when I say that it is a delight to work at the College of Education, and Dean Chval is the best.
Thanks, Myrna. Somebody pay you to say that.
Thank you all. Have a
Have a
wonderful
great rest of the week.